Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman.
How are you, Dougie Sticks? Good morning.
I'm
How you
good.
doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I am good. I'm ready to go here.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, that beats the alternative if we were not ready to go.
Yes,
right?
I don't think we've had an episode where we weren't.
We were not. We always come prepared with our A game. Whether
Absolutely.
we deliver is a different story, but
We absolutely deliver.
we're prepared. So anyway, we're coming to you as always from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, brought to you, of course, by Sonnet Financial Technologies. This is episode number 46, 46.
46.
I realized on my little notes here, I have 45. I made a last minute change and avoided that disaster. So 46 on the Spanish dial
now,
today.
it might also 46 might be whatever. We'll figure it out.
It'll work. It'll pass. As always, you can send your questions, and I do promise we're going to answer some of the questions you guys sent in today. You can send them in to mypbshow@gmail.com. And you can catch the show at any time at your leisure, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on iTunes, Spotify, Facebook, or YouTube. So whenever you have the time, you can certainly find us.
Absolutely.
We can't hide, Dougie Sticks. We cannot hide.
Can't.
So how's everything with you before we get started? Everything good?
Good. I'm going to the Devils Rangers game on Friday.
It is on my list that we're going to talk about.
I won't get ahead of you then.
We are on the list. That is exciting. As we are now, actually, let me figure this out. We are 5.5 weeks away from you getting married, right?
November 5th. So
yeah.
A month.
5.5. So we are getting into crunch time.
I mean, stuff's already planned, pretty much. But yeah, sure.
Now, have you done
what should I have done by now?
Well,
I don't checklist.
I was not helpful in that process when that happened for me 13 years ago.
I feel like I have a similar case.
Right. Right. The one thing I would advise you to do would be the food tasting.
Yes, we are going. So we're doing it at Biagio's.
Of course.
Of course.
But time out.
Yes.
You've probably, since you are Mr. Biagio, you've probably tasted everything on the menu anyway.
True. So yeah, I mean, at least I know it's good.
Considering you live there,
but I'll still take a free tasting.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, that is the Dougie Sticks wedding coming up November 5th. I'm sure we'll be talking about that on the show. So yes, well, I'm glad to hear that the nuptials are going well. We are going to start with football today. So
Sweet.
Hockey started.
Getting right into it.
We're going to get right into football. But we're going to get to hockey. Did you know the preseason started this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to the game.
No. I mean, it has started this.
Oh, it has started. No, I thought I was going to like the first game. Was this the second game I'm going to?
You are going to the second game for the Devils, and it will be the third game for the Rangers.
Oh wow, I got a little bit more experience.
You do. You'll have to wear your big Devils Martin Brodeur jersey over there. So let's start here with football, and we're not going to start with the picks. We will get to the picks in a little bit, but I want to just do kind of an overview because there's a lot going on, and I'm going to start here in New York. We have two football teams here. We know this. You have the Giants and the Jets.
Yes.
I have found, and I'm guilty of this, I confess to this, and it pisses people off to this day, but it's true, and I'm an honest guy, that I don't have an allegiance. I root for both teams. Like if you look at other cases in this town, I only like the Yankees. I hate the Mets. With the Giants and Jets, I'm weird. I kind of support both teams.
It's one of the only it's two of the teams that you can, it's one of the only places you can actually do that. I went to school in Maryland. You can't be a Ravens and a Washington football team fan.
Got it. That's correct.
They hate each other.
So I support both teams.
Yeah.
Right. And I have seen the Giants do well. Matter of fact, I was at 2 Super Bowls. I thank my father for that, 1986 and 1991. The famous one in 1991 during the Gulf War where Whitney Houston sang the famous Star Spangled Banner and the Buffalo kicker Scott Norwood went wide right at the end. I was at that game. And I've seen the Jets be good as well. So I've experienced both teams being good. The Jets, of course, never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, not that good. But
they had some good years in the Herm Edwards run, beating San Diego in overtime on a Saturday night playoff game, I remember. Right now, if you're a fan of either team, it is a complete I stop myself because I try and keep this a family program here with the language. It is a complete mess Where do you want to start? You want to start with the Giants or the Jets?
I
I'll
mean,
let you choose the direction we go.
I feel like they're complete opposites. I feel like the Giants offense is better than the Jets offense, and the Giants defense is, the Jets defense is way better. Like, for example, they had the game won. I don't want to get ahead of you. We had the game won. The Giants had it in his hands. If he made that interception in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left in the game's won.
And by the way, that would have also made a big difference in our weekly picks because that was one of the games. So let's start with the Giants.
Okay.
Why don't we start here? The Giants are 0-3.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to play a game in a couple minutes.
Uh-oh.
But before we get to the game,
Mhm.
all right, the Giants are 0-3. About 4 years ago now, 5 years ago, they maybe it was 3, somewhere in there, 3 to 5 years ago.
Mhm.
They drafted Daniel Jones, right,
Yes.
in the first round.
Yes.
Surprised a lot of people on that Thursday night when they did the draft.
Mhm.
Daniel Jones came from Duke. Great school if you
Mhm.
want to be a doctor. Great school if you probably want to be a professional basketball player. Look at R.J. Barrett on the
Mhm.
Knicks, or the other plenty of players, Zion, that come
Mhm.
from Duke. Do you think Duke turns out a lot of good football players?
I do not actually know.
At what point,
Mhm.
and I don't know the answer. I'm not asking this question
Mhm.
like I know the answer. I don't think anybody does.
Mhm.
At what point do the Giants have to admit that maybe Daniel Jones is what a lot of people thought, which was a quarterback who played at Duke and didn't have an NFL future? My concern
Mhm.
is that Dave Gettleman, the general manager of the Giants, who drafted him, is not going to put egg on his face and say, you know what, I admit this pick was wrong. We're going to go in a different direction.
Never will.
He never will. So until you probably get rid of Dave Gettleman, the general manager, you're stuck in this Daniel Jones experiment.
Well, he won't admit he's wrong, but if another shiny object comes in the first round, they would take
That's
it.
his way out.
So that's his way out. But I don't have as much of a problem with picking him as I do, and I've said this for many episodes, as I do from how they transitioned from Eli to Danny Jones. I think they rushed it, and I think Eli had at least 2 or 3 seasons left in him.
Well, that may be true, but we can't go back. And now that they retired his number this past weekend, he's definitely not coming back.
We're going back.
He ain't coming back. So, I mean, if you're a Giant fan now,
Yeah.
you're 0-3.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to play a game in a minute
Mhm.
here about their schedule coming up.
Mhm.
But I don't. The offense is bad. The defense is bad. I'm not getting on Joe Judge. I don't know enough about, honestly. I can critique coaches for hockey. I did that with David Quinn in the spring successfully, apparently, in my argument, because they then got rid of him 2 months later. But football, I don't know. I don't watch all the games like I do the Rangers.
Mhm.
This is not on Joe Judge. However, I'm going to say this. He had 1 year last year. He had his first year.
Mhm.
Did okay.
Mhm.
This year, and we're going to talk about this in a second with the schedule, is going to be a complete mess because it's only going to get worse.
Yes.
So this year, they're not going anywhere.
Mhm.
Next year is his third year. If you're a coach in the league, in really any sport, and you get your debut job, and your first 3 seasons, you have 3 losing seasons, you're not having a fourth.
So that's the thing. He says the right things.
He
I
does.
want to like him, but like when you don't, it's just like with the quarterback position. If you're not surrounding the quarterback with talent that can help him, he's not going to be successful. So it's like where do we put the blame? Because in this day and age,
is it okay?
In this day and age, we put it on the quarterback. If the we're constantly shuffling around quarterbacks, and I think that the lineman position has become a very, very important position.
So the blame
Yeah.
is not on Joe Judge. The blame to me is probably on the general manager, who has not addressed the offensive line and still has a quarterback here that we're not sure of even having an NFL future. So I see, did we have a question just come in?
We did. It's pretty much what we're answering right now.
And that is it time to address the lack of success in New York sports? Who is to blame? It probably is. Look, it's a fair question. So you have the Giants and Jets, which are a mess, and neither of them are going to get better anytime soon. Again, I'm a Yankee fan. The Yankees have had success. Right now, they're actually in the middle of a great wild card race here in the final week of the season. So they're a success. The bets are kind of an annual unsuccessful, right? And that's not me talking as someone who doesn't like the Mets. They just
Mhm.
are not.
Yeah.
The Rangers, you know what? It pains me to say this, but they have not made the playoffs now in 4 years. Last time they made the playoffs was
Mhm.
2017. So if we're going to talk about that question that just came in being recent history, then yeah, the Rangers have not been successful. The Devils have not been successful
It's
recently.
crazy.
And
It's
all
the
the
biggest
Devils,
market.
the Devils have had 1 year of success, and that was the Taylor Hall MVP year.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean the Islanders, I would say, are successful for sure. Then again, I don't like admitting that. And the Brooklyn Nets are there, but the Knicks haven't been good either. The Knicks had a better year, but they're not playing up to what you would think would happen playing in the mecca of basketball in New York City. So with the Giants, we're going to play a game. Are you ready? Okay.
Well, yeah, but real quick, I think the Giants are almost there. Like their offense is not the best, but they have weapons. Danny Jones, who you might have thought is like whatever, is able to use his feet and make plays. Like he's not just like sitting back there and giving up. He's like running. Oh, he ran over a linebacker. Did you see that play where he ran over a linebacker?
You had a home game this week. You were 0-2. Okay, going into this game.
Yes.
You were 0-2. So if you had any real like ambitions of doing anything this season, this becomes a must-win game.
Yeah.
Okay. You're 0-2. You're coming home on your home field to play the lowly Atlanta Falcons on a day where at halftime you're retiring your quarterback, Eli Manning's jersey. And you managed to score 14 points versus the Atlanta Falcons. I thought last week the Giants -3. Now, granted, if he made that interception, we hit that bet. But I thought that was a sure lock. How could they not? I don't know.
Well, also don't like the Falcons gave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a run for the money for the first 3 quarters. Like they almost beat the Buccaneers.
Well, the Tampa that game, if I'm not mistaken, was up a lot, and Atlanta came back to make it close, but I don't know that it was ever that close.
I think in the 3rd quarter the Falcons were winning.
We can check on that.
B-Rock, can you check on that? Just
look
at the scores by quarter and see what the score was in the 3rd quarter.
Okay, we can.
But
do
anyway,
but anyhow, it doesn't really even matter because they're just not good. So, all right, we're gonna play.
Doesn't matter. They're not good.
We're gonna play a game.
Okay,
you ready?
Yes. Do we need like music for this?
If we have it, but we don't. It's fine if not.
Okay.
Because I'm sure you guys will edit this and this will be on social media. So we're gonna play a little game. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. This game is called "Where Are the Giants Going to Get Their First Win?" Okay. I am going to show you the schedule. Now, the Giants are 0-3 as we sit here and tape this episode number 46 on September 28th. The Giants are 0-3. Where will the Giants get their first win is today's game. Here we go.
Yes.
Week 4 this week. The Giants are 8 points underdogs down in New Orleans. Probably a loss, right? 0-4.
Can we come back to that one? Because I feel like that might be the easiest one game for them.
Oh, it may be. The following week, week 5 at Dallas.
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
Dallas is playing good.
Week 6, home versus the undefeated Rams.
That's a loss.
Week 7, home versus the undefeated Carolina Panthers. Possible, but you're underdogs. You ready? Week 8, Monday Night Football in Kansas City.
Oh, that's a loss.
Week 9, home versus the undefeated Las Vegas Raiders.
That's definitely a loss.
Week 10 is a bye. You can't lose that week.
Nice.
Week 11, Monday Night Football at Tom Brady in Tampa.
Oh, that's a loss.
Now.
So you may be 2 out of what, 10 games right
now? Wait a sec. We have gone all the way down on the schedule to I think they can win week 12. This is Thanksgiving weekend, November 28th.
Yeah.
At this point in time, you have already had your turkey. You have already had your stuffing. You've already been married a month.
Yes.
You're getting married November 5th.
I didn't know that.
Right?
Yes.
The Giants may not win till November 28th when they host the Philadelphia Eagles at home.
Wow.
Now, if they lose that game, which they can.
They can. The Eagles got killed last night, but they had some glimpses of
the Eagles are better.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that's concerning.
Yes.
As we just went through
now's the thing that's concerning.
No, wait. In this game, we just went from weeks 4 to 11, right?
Yeah.
Weeks 4 where we're starting in New Orleans this week, week 11 when they're in Tampa.
Yeah.
Out of every single one of those games, there is not a chance in the world they will be a favorite in any of those games.
Yeah, so potentially we're like 0-7.
They would be 0-10. Going into week 12 at home versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, wait, are you ready?
Yeah.
We're not done yet.
Oh, man.
Let's say they lose to the Eagles week 12. and they go to 0-11. It's
Oh,
possible.
okay.
They probably right now, I mean, their line's not out for a game at the end of November,
Mhm.
but they probably are underdogs in that game. So week 13 now, they go down to Miami, where, remember, Miami at the beginning of December will be playing for something.
Mhm.
Tua will be back. They're not great, but they're better than the Giants. Okay? Week 14, fly across the country to the undefeated Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh, no.
Loss.
Yes.
Week 15, home versus the Dallas Cowboys.
Loss.
Loss. Week 16, at the Philadelphia Eagles.
50-50.
50-50. Week 17, at the Chicago Bears.
I don't know how the Bears looking.
Not good, but better than the Giants. And then the last game. So
you think we're at that point where we're the worst team in the NFL?
Maybe. Wait a sec. This would be interesting. Maybe they will go into the last week of the season, entering with an 0-16 record at home versus the Washington football team. Doug, they are going to be
who they lost to, right? On Monday Night Football? Was that
Washington?
Yeah, didn't the Giants play Washington?
Yeah, Washington beat them last week.
By like what, 3?
By 1, at 30-29, I think it was. They won by 1.
Sorry.
That's fine. So at what point here are the Giants going to get their first win?
I don't know. It's tough. I think injury might play a part into maybe we sneaking a win.
Let's go back to what you said right when we started this game.
Yes.
Because maybe you knew something. And you said maybe we'll come back to this game this weekend at New Orleans.
I think that's the only shot they have.
The Giants are 8-point underdogs already here.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know the answer to the game. We're going to take a guess. We'll each make a guess.
Mm-hmm.
Dougie Sticks, where will the Giants get their first win?
The only possibility, I say, you might sneak one to the Saints or you might get the Eagles.
My guess is the Eagles, November 28th. It's going to take that long.
Yeah.
And
like, if they don't win against the Saints, it's like season's over.
Oh, well, the season's over, I think, already. Because now, here's the other problem that the Giants have.
Okay.
The Cowboys winning last night versus the Eagles puts them at 2-1. So the Cowboys now already have a 2-game lead. If the Cowboys beat the Giants next week in Dallas, then that's another game that they're gaining. The Giants don't have any room on the schedule to make up any of these games. They don't at all.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the Giants, I mean, okay. So your answer, you're going to go with the Saints. They're pulling off the upset this week.
I think that's the only chance.
Right. Okay.
The only chance they have to have a season. Like, yes, their season's over. We're not winning the Super Bowl, but like for them to be like, to win like 4 or 5 games, they need to win the Saints game, because if they lose the Saints game, all morale is in the toilet.
Okay. So your guess is week 4.
And
so we're going to know if you're real soon, if you're ready, right or not.
Yeah.
I am going to go all the way to Thanksgiving weekend, November 28th, when it's cold and the 0-10 New York Giants host the Philadelphia Eagles in a game that nobody will care about.
Yeah.
And by the way, from a discussion you and I had off air, nobody would want to buy tickets to either, because it's cold and the team's 0-10. And that's why we don't resell football tickets out there. So that's my guess. So my guess is the Eagles. But if you're the Giants, I mean, if you lose, if it gets to week 12 and I'm right where you're entering that game, and then you lose to the Eagles, holy mackerel, dude! You may not win, maybe until the last game.
All right, so obviously we had this conversation last year with the Jets. Purposely they shouldn't have won that game or whatever, right? So who are we looking at?
I don't know. I have
the Giants. Who are we looking at? You don't need a running back. Saquon needs to pull more weight, but we don't need a running back. I think the receivers are good. I
have not looked at. It's too early. I haven't looked at it. So that's the end of our Giants game. We may play this game weekly until they win. Although, if you win the game and they win this week, as you think maybe they will, then our game ends.
It doesn't have to be me versus you. We could see if you're right as well.
No. I'm saying we wouldn't play the game next week. Where will the Giants win their first game if they've already won?
We could play when they will the second game.
We could keep playing, right? Because that's going to be a while. If it's not this week, it's going to be a long time.
So we're going to do the same thing for the Jets.
I was thinking of it. You want to do the Jets version of the game?
Quick,
okay, let's do the Jets first. So let's talk about the Jets for a minute, and then we'll play the game with the Jets. Okay. That's how bad the New York teams are. That not only can we play one team's game of when are they going to get their first win, we can do it with both. I mean, that should speak volumes. All right, so the Jets, right?
Yes.
Zach Wilson the sample size is so small. So
Yes.
trying to make conclusions or come to this, like declaration that he's a bust after 3 games, we're not doing that. We're not that dumb. However, if we only can evaluate based on 3 games, which is what we're going to do, find me something positive, maybe. Can you?
There are, he does make some off balance throws. He does have some legs on him. I just don't like. I've been saying it forever. Why?
So the other day,
Sam Darnold's undefeated. Just want to say that.
I know you're a Sam Darnold guy. I am going to admit the other day I didn't see a lot of the Jets game. We were tied up with stuff with the kids. I came home and turned the Jet game on. It was the 3rd quarter. The first play, I kid you not, that we saw the Jets had the ball, and Zach Wilson threw an interception right away, like literally 4 seconds to me turning the TV on. And when you watch the replay, the defensive back on Denver that picked it off basically read this play before he even threw it. I don't know how he even threw it, because the defensive guy just stepped right in, ended up almost returning it for a pick 6, and got tackled at about the 10-yard line. By the way, as a reminder, the Giants over-under, we'll go back to the Giants for a second. The Giants over-under in total wins this season was 7. I mean, if you have the under, you've already hit. Yeah. There's no chance. Yeah. And the Jets over-under is 6. So let's pull up the Jets schedule.
While you're doing that, Aaron Rodgers was 3 seasons under Brett Favre, Jimmy Garoppolo, 3 seasons under Tom Brady. You don't have to throw these rookies in their first season. That is fair.
Okay, the Jets. When will the Jets win their first game? This weekend. You good over there?
Yeah.
Okay, you good? Okay, cool. It's fine. So I'm making sure. I want to make sure I have your attention for the game.
100%.
Okay. Week 4.
Yes.
This week, home, 7.5-point underdog, Tennessee Titans. 2-1 Tennessee.
That's a loss.
It's a loss.
Yes.
It's tempting. There's a part of you that stops for a minute.
Yes.
The Jets are going to get their first win next week. Not this week, next week.
To who?
Next week, after Tennessee, next Sunday, they travel across the pond to London for the NFL and Europe game, and they play the Atlanta Falcons.
You think they're going to win that game?
They can beat look, if you can't beat the Atlanta Falcons.
I don't think you're giving the Falcons enough credit.
Okay.
I don't think you're giving the Falcons enough credit. They're bad. They're not that, but like I said, Brian, did you get that 3rd quarter score?
They were winning 7-6.
They were winning 7-6 at the start of the 3rd?
Yeah.
No, that can't be right. No, it wasn't. Tampa was up a ton of it. Tampa Atlanta game. Atlanta game week 2.
Yes.
All right. So
they were winning that game, whatever that game was.
So Tennessee, the Giants, that's my point, right? That's the whole point of the game. So the Jets go this weekend at home versus Tennessee. That is not a win. I'm going to say they win week 5 in London. You're not. So we're going to continue the game. Week 6, they come back. And as the NFL does, when you play your London game, the following week, you always have a bye. So the Jets will have a bye week 6. Week 7, they go up to Foxborough and they play in New England. That's a loss because we just saw the Patriots embarrass them at home. They're not going to go up to Foxborough and win. So that's going to happen. They lose there. Now, the Halloween game is tempting to pick. They play at home on Halloween versus the Cincinnati Bengals.
Now, who do you think's better, the Bengals or the Patriots?
The Bengals are better, but I have less confidence against the Patriots because it's Belichick. And
the Patriots are playing like doo-doo too.
The Patriots just forced Zach Wilson into 4 interceptions 9 days ago. I'm not touching that game.
Okay.
So home versus Cincinnati, that could be a win. Then they go a quick turnaround Thursday night game, week 9. They go to Indianapolis. Indianapolis is not great. I guess the Carson Wentz injury situation will play in. Do they have T.Y. Hilton back by then? Jonathan Taylor is a complete disaster in fantasy, by the way. We'll get into that in a minute. Then they're definitely losing the next week. They're home versus Buffalo. Then they're home versus Miami, maybe winnable. Oh, here you go. Week 12 at Houston. You know what would be amazing? Hold up.
Yeah.
Week 12. Both teams. That is the weekend the Giants play the Eagles and the Jets play the Texans. Wouldn't it be awesome if the Thanksgiving dessert for all New York football fans that weekend on Sunday is that both teams get their first win?
Now, is there a crazy bet we can make?
I don't think there's a prop
Like a
bet
parlay,
like that. No,
parlay
there's not.
every game before that they lose and then they win this one. I don't know.
You could, but it would be cool if there was a prop bet that was like, where will the Giants get their first win? And you pick all the games they have, and then there's also like an option no wins, so that they go 0-17. So you have that. So then the Jets after that, they'd have Philadelphia Eagles at home, maybe would be winnable. Now here's the other thing that would be amazing: the Philadelphia Eagles come to MetLife Stadium back-to-back weekends. They could theoretically come to MetLife Stadium on November 28th, where the Giants haven't won, and give the Giants their first win.
Mm-hmm.
Then they could come back the next week and play the Jets and give the Jets their first win. Beyond that, the Jets then are home versus New Orleans. That is a loss. At Miami is a loss. They're home versus Jacksonville. That could be a win. And then they end with two complete disaster games. Home versus Tom Brady and Tampa, and then up in Buffalo, both losses. So the Jets over-under, which going into the year was 6, has already been decided, and that is the under as well.
Man, that's bad.
Both these football teams suck. There is like nothing to be excited for except fantasy and betting.
It stinks, man.
I mean, they are horrific.
Yeah, and it's like and you know, the Jets aren't even putting points on the board. They got shut out last game. They're not even getting field goals. They're not even getting in the field goal range.
Denver, who shut them out, who is now 3-0.
Yeah.
And I'm not on the Denver train yet because if you look, Denver has beaten the Giants, the Jaguars, and the Jets. So not overly impressive. But you can't get on Denver because you can only play who's on your schedule. Right?
Yes.
It's not like they pick who they play. They're winning the games that are in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I like you've got to be able to score. To your point, you've got to be able to score something against them. So let's talk a little bit here about around the league stuff. And I want to talk about the AFC West. The Raiders now are 3-0, the Las Vegas Raiders. The Broncos, who we just talked about, are also 3-0. The Chargers are 2-1. The Kansas City Chiefs are in last place at 1-2.
I think they're about to start getting exposed, and I'm liking the Raiders, and I'm liking the Rams.
I like the Rams as well. And matter of fact, I was wrong on Matt Stafford because he has been incredible in his first 3 games.
I'm liking it.
So you have to think now that trade that they made with Detroit, where they swapped quarterbacks, including Jared Goff, who went east to Detroit on that deal, it's looking good. But the AFC West has become like this powerhouse division that the Kansas City Chiefs, who will not stay in last place, let's be real, at 1-2 are doing great. The other division I wanted to point out while we're going around the league here is the NFC West. They have
real quick before you move. I don't know if you watched the Eli Payton version of Monday Night Football.
I heard
they had Matt Stafford on, and they were talking about the last 16 years or whatever. I forgot the dates. In the AFC, there's always been a different AFC, whatchamacallit, league champion, whatchamacallit, going into the playoffs. What's the word I'm looking for?
Top
division leader.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for the last like 16 years.
Yeah, I you know what? It's impressive. And the NFC West, as I was about to say, is impressive also. You have the Rams at 3-0. You have the Cardinals at 3-0. You have the 49ers at 2-1. And you have the Seattle Seahawks at 1-2. The thing about that, the Seahawks at 1-2 in last place, like the Chiefs at 1-2 in last place, they're not going to stay there. Those are not losing teams. They're not going to be teams that finish with losing records. So these divisions now are probably going to get a stranglehold on the wild card spots, right? Because you only have one team that can win the division. Then you have, they added the extra wild card, so you have 3 wild cards per conference. I mean, the NFC West and the AFC West are going to at least have 2 of at least those 3 spots. So the rest of the league, like you look around the NFC, now the Packers, after that week 1 debacle down in Jacksonville when they played the Saints, have righted the ship. They're 2-1. And that division now, the Bears don't look good. The Lions can't win. The Vikings are kind of on the fritz here. So it's getting kind of, I think, maybe, I don't want to say crystal clear, but it's getting clear quickly who maybe are playoff contenders in this league and who are not. And we know that both New York teams are not.
Well, I think we added a few this year. Like, going into the season, it was like, Chiefs are rolling through and Tampa Bay is rolling through. And now people are opening their eyes. Like, the Ravens had a nice game. The Rams are playing good. The Raiders are playing good. Like, there's more to choose from.
It will be interesting to watch going forward. All right, let's do our picks. So the first 2 weeks, we had 2 winning weeks. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to us. We hope we made you some money. And I said each week that we had some luck happen that gave us 2 winning weeks. Now, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you get there.
Mhm.
You got to the destination. We won you money.
Yes.
Week 3, we had luck. This ran again, like kind of, it was close, but we ended up on the wrong side.
Mhm.
We lost this week. We had 2 wins and 3 losses. So we had this past week, the Bears +7 in Cleveland was a disaster. The Giants -3 at home versus Atlanta. That again, intercept the ball. The Giants should have won that game. We did not have that right. The
Mhm.
other one, and our producer B-Rock is going to be upset because he's sporting his Patriots shirt today. I saw him in the studio. We had the Pats -3 at home versus the Saints. We lost that one. The 2 we had right by a landslide. We had the Bills -8 at home against Washington, and we had the Cowboys last night -4 versus the Eagles, and they won by 20. So we were close, but just not close enough. We're going to try and get back on the winning way. So
We're 2-1?
2-1.
Not bad.
If we end the season with one more winning week, then losing week, we'll take it.
Yeah.
We have a parade.
We made money.
We have a parade in the Undefeated Media Studios parking lot in celebration.
Yes.
Like ticker tape comes out of the studio windows and they fall to you on the floats.
Absolutely.
And you go around the Undefeated Media building.
The big circle.
The big circle here at the studios. We do. So are you ready for week number 4 picks?
Absolutely.
Before we get to week 4.
Yes.
They say it. I said it last year when we did this, and I say it every year. Everybody says it. There is no season of the sport that goes as fast as the NFL season. We are at week 4.
I know, it's crazy.
Right? Always. Yeah. All right. Here are your week 4 picks for the Mind Your Puck and Business podcast, week 4 picks. Here we go. I am taking Minnesota +2 at home versus Cleveland. Minnesota is 1-2. They had 2 completely crushing losses in week 1 and 2 on the road in Arizona and Cincinnati. They came home this week. They beat a Seattle team. They are better than the 1-2 record, and they need to win. It's a home game. I like Cleveland, but I don't like them that much. They shouldn't be a favorite on the road in Minnesota. Give me Minnesota +2 at home versus Cleveland. The other one, Washington -1 on the road in Atlanta. I don't like taking teams on the road. We know this. I try to take home teams, but Atlanta is not good. Washington gets a little bit of a break here. I know I'm on the Atlanta train.
You hate Atlanta. I'm taking Atlanta.
I'm bitter on Atlanta. So I am going to take Washington to kind of right the ship a little bit after their loss this week up in Buffalo and get it back together in Atlanta. The Seahawks, they are off to, we just talked about this on our regular segment. They are 1-2. They need to win. They are getting 3 in San Francisco. San Francisco is good. They are not great. Seattle needs the game. Give me Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, and Pete Carroll. The Seahawks +3 on the road, and I get coverage of a field goal. The next game, Pittsburgh is getting 6.5 at Green Bay. Maybe the Big Ben train is now done. Maybe that whole era is kind of coming to an end, but they will be prepared. Mike Tomlin always has the team prepared. 6.5 points is a lot of points, especially when you're Pittsburgh. I would expect the game to be close. 6.5 would not be close. So I'm taking Pittsburgh on the road +6.5.
So who are they playing?
They are playing at Green Bay. Okay. The other game, which is very intriguing, the last game we're going to take in our picks this week, is the Arizona Cardinals going on the road to the LA Rams. Both these teams are undefeated. Kyler Murray is off to a great start, as is Matt Stafford, as we talked about before. However, I am going to take the points here. I am getting 6.5. That is a lot. Again, that is a lot of points. Give me Arizona +6.5. So to recap, I have Minnesota at home +2 versus Cleveland. Washington football team -1 on the road down in Atlanta. The Seahawks +3 at San Francisco. The Pittsburgh Steelers +6.5 at Green Bay. And the Arizona Cardinals +6.5 out in Los Angeles against the Rams. Those are the week 4 picks. You like them?
I do like them. The Rams game, I don't know. I might. That's a statement game.
Arizona can keep it close. I'm not saying Arizona's winning. I'm saying in a battle of unbeaten teams with 2 good offenses, I have a 6.5 point cushion with Arizona to keep it close.
I think the Rams are coming out to make a statement, and they're going to want to run the points up. We'll see.
All right, because we have to pick the local games.
we already went through the whole season.
We kind of did. So because we have to pick them, we will. So we'll start with the Jets at home this week, getting 7.5 versus Tennessee.
See, the problem is the Jets can't score. So sorry, they're gonna have 0 points. Have they scored yet? Have they scored a touchdown yet? I don't think they've scored a touchdown yet.
Yeah, they did. The second half, week 1 in Carolina. Zach Wilson had two touchdowns. He made it close. They cut it to 19-14, and then they have not scored a touchdown the last 2 weeks.
All right.
So you're taking Tennessee -7.5?
Yes.
So am I. We're on the same train, baby. All right. The Giant game. Yes. Now, this is going to be an interesting pick for you because of what you said earlier.
Yes.
The Giants are +8 down in New Orleans. I am going to take the Giants +8. I don't think they win.
You don't think they win?
Well, if not, our game doesn't look great that we
Yes.
just played.
Yes.
When will the Giants get their first win? But I am taking the Giants +8. You almost have to take them +8 if you think they can win.
I think it's a must. Like, all right, not to get into the playoffs. I think it's a morale must win because they have a long road ahead of them, and they're getting a lot of points. 8 points. I think they'll keep it close. They might be down by a touchdown, which is
so we agreed on the local picks. We're both taking Tennessee -7.5.
Yep.
But then we're taking the Giants +8.
Yes.
Now I don't think that the Giants can win, but you are going on the upset. You think that Sunday at 4:00 when that game ends, because that's a 1:00 game. You think that New York may celebrate its first football victory for the year?
Not only that, all the games I believe have been within 1 to 3 points. They've lost between 1 and 3 points, so they're not getting blown out.
The Washington and Atlanta game was, but again, those two teams are not good. The Denver game was not that close at the end.
And I think the Saints are okay. I don't know. I don't trust the decision making of Jameis Winston yet.
Okay, we will see. So there you go. Those are our week number 4 picks, and we try to get back on a winning week after our 1 week detour off of our winning streak.
Yes.
All right, ready to move to hockey?
Let's do it.
Let's move to hockey. The NHL preseason started this past weekend, and I am guilty of one thing, which is for sure that I look forward to. Live hockey is great, even though it's preseason. You know it doesn't matter. You know you're not going to see like the full roster. You get excited for it. So the other night, the Rangers opened up their preseason 2 nights ago at home versus the Islanders, and it was awful to watch. Like it just really was. The Rangers lost 4-0 to the Islanders, and Ranger fans now, in typical like I'm a sport fan fashion, want to like rip the team. Oh, this guy looks like crap. Going to watching a preseason game and then criticizing it or like nitpicking. I tried to think of like an example. You ready?
Yes.
It's like if you told me, go try this restaurant. It was really good, and then review it and tell me what you think of it. And I go in, I sit in the restaurant, and I open up the menu. And I haven't ordered yet, right? I open up the menu, and I start complaining to, let's say, my wife who's with me at the restaurant about the font size on the menu of the entrees. It's just not important.
Happens a lot. Yeah,
it's just not important. We're not going to sit here and like make a big deal of what's going on in the preseason games. However, we can talk about some things, but we're not going to like blow up over the preseason. The other night, first period, 0-0. The Islanders are on like literally their second or third power play already. The Rangers are undisciplined right out of the get-go. And Chris Kreider has a shorthanded breakaway. And I mean, there's breakaways where like you're going to the net and you know there's a guy behind you, so you're rushing it. This was like, might as well have been a penalty shot, dude, because there was nobody within 25 feet of you. And it was the most awful breakaway miss. Like he went backhand and like shot it right into Sorokin, who was in goal for the Islanders. So you don't like to see that. I mean, I've never been a Chris Kreider fan, but again, I'm not going to sit here and go ballistic over a preseason game. Now they come back, they return to the Garden tonight, home versus Boston. The Rangers also, because it's preseason, or any team, are not playing their full roster. Artemi Panarin didn't play the other night. Ryan Strome didn't play. Capo Caco didn't play. So you can't really sit here and make a big deal of it. But we can see things that are like maybe will pique our interest, but we're not going to sit here and go crazy over preseason. Now, the Rangers announced yesterday, and this is, you want to talk about ticket stuff. The Rangers announced yesterday at 12:02 p.m.
Yes.
They came out with like a press release that on January 28th, they're going to retire Henrik Lundqvist's number. Tickets for that night on the secondary market sites like StubHub or NHL Ticket Exchange had skyrocketed within 2 minutes from like a $80 face value to $800 face value to get in. So if you're a Ranger fan and you have some money to spend, try to get to the Garden against the Minnesota Wild when they retire Henrik Lundqvist jersey. I'm sure our producer B-Rock will not be in attendance for Henrik Lundqvist. A couple of questions that we got. I told you I would answer some of the questions for the Rangers. Is this a critical year for Capo Caco? Yes, it is an enormously critical year. I didn't put in part 2 of this question why the person asked it. Capo Caco in the offseason looks like he went on an eating binge. He literally gained a ton of weight. However, he claims, and his trainers claim, that it is muscle. So we're going to believe it. We don't do body fat analysis here on the show. So we're going to believe it. It is a critical year for Capo Caco for two major reasons. One, the obvious one is it is the end of his contract year. So you want to have a good year, right? If you want to get paid. The second thing is Capo Caco was a critical, as were some of us, including myself included, of the coach David Quinn. So now David Quinn is gone. Now I got to shut up and play. So you got to now produce. So it is a big year for Capo Caco.
Mm-hmm.
The other question was, how many games do you think that Georgiev is going to play out of the 82 as a backup to Igor Shesterkin? You have to think that with a quality goalie like Georgiev as a backup, he's going to get probably 15 or 20 games, pretty good, decent amount. You're going to see him. And I would think you will always see him on back-to-back nights. So one of them will play the first of the back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yes.
Friday night,
Yes.
speaking of preseason hockey, the Rangers will make the trip to Newark, New Jersey.
Yes. All right, we're back. Sorry.
You're back? Okay,
We had some technical difficulty. I think we're good though.
Okay. We are.
Let me get your TV back on though.
Oh, your TV on in the studio. Yes.
All right. You might want to ask that question.
Okay.
again.
We're going to ask it again. So this Friday night, the Rangers travel to Newark,
Yes.
New Jersey
Yes.
to play the New Jersey Devils in a
Yes.
preseason game.
Yes.
And in attendance will be the Dougie Sticks bachelor party.
Yes. There will be. We're super excited about it. Don't know what colors I'll rock because I'll be in Prudential. Maybe I won't rock any colors.
How many people will be going?
7.
So since
It's like a prequel to the bachelor party. You know what I mean?
I was just about to say the game starts at 7.
Yeah, it's the Friday night is like, just us, hanging out, going to the game, getting a nice dinner or something. And then Saturday we're going to Atlantic City.
Oh,
yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
When are you
So
coming
it's
back?
like a prequel. Possibly.
Okay. So how many people is it? The same crew going to Atlantic City that is going to be at the Devil game?
Well, actually, like 1 or 2 more will be going to it. Like, so not everybody can make the game. So
you will be in Atlantic City on Saturday night for a bachelor party.
Possibly Sunday.
Possibly Monday.
See how much money. Yeah. See how much money we make.
So for those of you that listen to us weekly, if we're not on Tuesday or Wednesday next week,
I'll be back.
They'll find you in
I'll be
Atlantic
back by
City.
then. It's not going to be like The Hangover where I'm like locked up on a rooftop.
That would be fun. Where are you staying? Like on the strip of hotels?
So I don't know much. They're
Okay.
kind of doing it. But I think we're staying at like Harrah's or the Tropicana. I don't know. Those were like the 2 that they were talking about because there was some crazy deal on Expedia or something.
Now Tropicana, if that is the answer.
Yes. a good one?
Yeah. So Tropicana Hotel. My grandmother, my late grandmother,
Mhm.
got me into gambling. One of the things she taught
Nice.
me, and she used to get free rooms at the Tropicana all the time. So,
Hell yeah.
so I had a connection with her host. I would call up and I would say the woman's name was Connie. I don't even know if she's still there. I'd say, hey, I'm so and so's grandson. I'm coming down Friday, and they would give me like comp rooms. So Jess and
Wow.
I would go all the time.
Hell yeah.
However, they then caught on and they realized that I didn't spend the amount of money that was like worthy of a free room.
Yes.
So I then kind of got rid of it. But anyway, the Tropicana is nice because before COVID, this
Mhm.
was actually like 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They completely redid it. They added another tower and they
Wow.
have a section. It is called, I think it's called the Quarter, actually. And it's a whole section of bars in the Tropicana Hotel, bars and
Nice.
restaurants and hangout places.
Interesting. So like I remember the Tropicana. We would go
It is
there when we
called-
were
it is-
young.
I'm looking right now. I am right. It is called the Quarter.
So when we would go to the it was like the Tropicana and Harrah's we would go to, but we were like, college kids. So it's good. It's good for the bachelor
Yes.
party. Oh,
I would think that the Quarter and I'm nothing against Harrah's. I'm sure they're all fine. But Tropicana, I just know for sure has
they got
stuff
like a strip of bars inside.
inside. Yes. They have a great Cuban restaurant. They have not
Nice.
that you would probably go here for a bachelor party, but Carmine's, the famous place in the city.
Sounds familiar.
with,
Yeah.
like the family style portions in Times Square. They have a location now
Interesting.
in Tropicana. So plenty of good restaurants
Sweet.
in there.
I think all I know is we're doing the game on Friday, paintball on the way to Atlantic City, and then that's all I know.
So this is like a full weekend of activities.
Pretty much.
So I will not speak to you over the
I
weekend.
mean, I'll be available.
You'll be available.
It's not going to be that crazy. We're going. So it could have been a lot crazier. My brother actually travels a lot, like for construction stuff. So he actually is going to be in Las Vegas pretty soon. So there was talks of us all going to his. They like rent out a house for like 2 months to do this construction project or whatever. We almost went to that house and had the bachelor party in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that would have been a little bit.
That would have been a little bit crazy.
That would have been hangover. You end up on a roof.
That would have been nuts.
In a trunk.
I've never been to Vegas.
Ooh.
My aunt would live in Vegas. My aunt lived in Vegas, and they would never let me visit her because they said I would never go home.
Well, I will disagree on one thing, and then we'll wrap this up.
Okay.
But I'll disagree on one thing. I love Vegas.
Yeah.
It's probably my places I go for my real job. I'd say New Orleans is number one. Vegas is 2. Vegas is a great city. You cannot stay in Vegas for more than 3 days as a tourist unless you live there.
Burn out
You
quick.
just burn out. Like the last time I was there for work a couple of years ago, I landed at like 12 in the afternoon, and I purposely took that flight because I didn't have to be with my client until like the next morning. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I'll have like, a day. And I remember the craps table just couldn't get anything going. And by like 2:45, I was like, I've already spent everything I had brought to gamble. I'm like, well, now what am I going to do? And I remember like going to the room and like watching like a movie. I'm like, this sucks. Like, so eventually your luck changes in Vegas, but it is fun for a couple days.
Any gambling tips?
What do you play?
Craps and blackjack.
I like craps and roulette. I do blackjack. I like craps a lot.
Yeah.
I will tell you the greatest story I have ever seen involves Atlantic City and craps with me and football. We can tie this all together perfectly before we wrap it up. We used to go before I had kids and was married in my 20s. Me and a bunch of friends from home, we would go every year for the Super Bowl to Atlantic City because Super Bowl is on a Sunday. So you could get rooms for like $60 and you could go to any of the restaurants. We used to watch the game at Hooters in the Taj Mahal, Trump Taj Mahal, right?
Sweet.
So we would go, we would watch the game, we would order wings and everything, and then we would go gamble, and we all would take off work on Monday. So the year that the Eagles made the Super Bowl, they lost to the Donovan McNabb puking year. They lost to the Patriots, right? We didn't realize this, but because it's so close to Philly, it was packed, right? So we were Philly fans everywhere.
Yep.
So after the game, which they lost, thank God, not that I like the Patriots anymore, but I just didn't want to, I had already dealt with that. I just didn't want the Eagles to win. We played craps in this was in Borgata.
Okay.
We took a cab and we went to the Borgata.
All right.
So we're playing craps, and because you play craps, that like basically there's one person rolling, and for the most part, like everybody is tied to the same fate is in the hands of whichever the shooter is at the moment. This guy rolled for I'm not even joking, Doug. It was like an hour and a half until he finally crapped out. I mean, I was the idiot that wouldn't press up, but there was a guy at the table that had made like 25 or 30K in an hour. Yeah. To the point that, how crowd, everyone's cheering. Yeah. It was so loud that like everywhere else in the casino, no other tables were even going on. Everyone just came over to watch this guy. It was amazing. So anyway, I wish you that sort of luck.
That happened to me the first time I played craps.
And probably never again.
And never again. And I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
I don't know the rules. I'm rolling the dice. Yeah, I was screaming, rolling the dice. People screaming, rolling the dice. People screaming. So much so this guy in a cowboy hat and a cigar is like, I want to bet $1,000 for the roller. Like people are making bets for me. I'm like, sweet, man.
Pressure's on you, bud, when you do that. Well, thanks for listening. This is the Mind Your Puck in Business podcast. We appreciate that. You can send your questions to us at any time, and we did take them today. We will take them again next week. I promise to be better with the questions. You can send us your questions at mypbshow@gmail.com, and if you're following the video feed today, you can see the email address up on the screen. We do thank our sponsor, Sonnet Financial Technologies, for sponsoring the show. And we will play the next round of when will the Giants and the Jets get their first win next week, unless there is some sort of miracle upset this week. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting.
We thank you for tuning in. We wish you the best of luck, Dougie Sticks, on your bachelor party this week. I hope it gets started with a Ranger victory against the Devils on Friday night. You can use all of your hockey knowledge that you've learned.
Absolutely. I'll give you a full report.
Yes, you know what? You can break down the game.
Oh, it's going to be tough.
This will be fun. Thanks for tuning in, and we appreciate it, and we will talk to you all next week.